In this video, I'm going to take you through something that was absolutely essential for our success in the SaaS marketing agency structures with GoHighLevel, and that is something called the SaaS Agency Continuum. When we first started this model in one of our niches, which I'm going to reveal to you on this video, I'm going to take you through the whole continuum as well. But when we first started this, we had a structure where we got to the 10k in monthly recurring revenue mark within probably about 7 or so days from launch. It happened really quickly, and there was a reason for that. It wasn't dark arts, it wasn't anything crazy. It was the way we structure things, and I'm going to share you exactly how we did it and the most important things that you need to think about when you're trying to launch or when you're trying to scale in this industry. So the SaaS Marketing Agency Continuum, the most important thing is to focus on core business problems. So we focus on more automated sales, but when we first started the model, we did use it for sales calls, and we booked 152 sales calls in about 14 days. Again, nothing magical happening here. It's mainly just the structures that we're running. But as I said, I'm going to take you through this. Now, there are 4 key elements that you want to make sure that you cover if you want to make rapid progress with this model. And I'm going to dive into each one of them one by one over the next few days when I'm releasing different videos, because I want to give enough time to each one in particular. If you master these 4 elements, you'll do really, really well. So I want to make sure I give enough context about each structure or about each part of this process, and I don't rush things and you get all the information that you actually need. So this is going to be maybe a 3 to 4 part series. I'm not sure if I'm going to do individual segments for each, if there's enough, because some of them, as you'll see, are a bit shorter, but I wanted to make sure you've got a place where you can come back to. You know, if you want to hear about the continuum, if you want to hear about niche selection, lead generation, you can just pick a video and you can come back to it in the future if you wanted to. So that's how I'm going to structure this process over the next few days. Now, the 4 key elements that we have to focus on here. First of all, you've got to have a strong offer that's actually in demand right now, not previously, but actually in demand right now. And most importantly, it solves a problem. It has to solve a problem, not just any problem. It has to solve a core problem that business owner has. The second consideration we've got to have is the target market, so the niche selection that has the problem. So it's not just about picking a niche, it's actually picking a niche that has that particular problem that we can solve. Then we've got to tackle the fulfillment side of the equation. So we need a fulfillment plan to deliver on that offer. And notice the order I'm doing this in, though, right? We're focusing on the problem first of all. Then we're going to find the niche that has or struggles with those problems. I'm not trying to find a niche, then find a problem. I'm finding the problem, identifying the problem, then selecting the niche, then structuring or engineering my fulfillment to solve that particular problem. So this is the order. It's a deliberate order. I'm not just putting it together here. There's a deliberate process that I'm going through. And then finally, you need a lead generation system to bring in those leads from your target market. Now, if you have these 4 elements, you've got the entire structure nailed. Nothing else really matters, to be honest. You just have to focus on this 4-step process and stick to it. And that's the most important part. You have to stick to it. One of the most or the biggest issues that people face when they try to make progress in this market and any market, to be honest, in the online space and any business space actually, is they jump from thing to thing to thing to thing. They lack focus, right? They're not focusing on one area. You need to focus. You've got to commit to it. You've got to build and you've got to execute. It's not about getting distracted. All of these structures, in fact, if you're looking to hit the $10,000 per month mark, the reality is you can pick pretty much any offer that you want and you can hit that number. There's enough demand in the market to at least hit that number. Getting to 100K per month, different story. You know, you've got to pick the right offer. But there's nothing stopping you getting to those 10K marks. There's only so much you can do wrong. And if you follow a lot of the videos on my channel, I take those things away from you anyway, so you don't make the same mistakes that I did. So there are easier paths that you can take, and there are harder paths, but any service can reach the 10K mark, and I quite strongly believe that. It's just about volume, really, and consistency. So don't worry too much about picking the right niche and all that kind of stuff, or the right services. Follow the principles in this video and my future videos and put them all together. This will make sure you're on the right path and you'll have a scalable offer and you'll have an offer that people actually want to buy. That's part of the part of the process, right? It's the key. People actually want to buy the offer. So that's probably the most important part. So any service can reach the 10K mark. So the first question I'm going to cover today is, what problem do business owners have that is urgent and that they're going to pay to solve? And the answer to this question is, business owners wake up with the same questions every single day. How do I get more leads? How do I get more sales? How do I get more appointments? Or one of those combinations. This is the problem. It's the core problem. This is the surface level problem. This is the thing that consumes them every day, right? This is all they can think about. They wake up, same problem, time and time again. If we are marketing to a business owner, so we're trying to get leads, or we're trying to run marketing campaigns, if it's email campaigns, if it's ad campaigns or sales funnel copy, whatever it is, you have to communicate these problems in their terms. If you try to market, let's say social media services, right, or database reactivation, or whatever service, your market size is going to shrink drastically if you just try to market social media services. Because a business owner doesn't automatically connect social media services or even database reactivation with, I need more leads. So they're not, even though yes, it would technically give them more leads, because we're marketing this service, because we're marketing it as a tool, let's say, or CRM or whatever, because we're marketing that tool, they're not going to connect the dots together. That's not how it works. They are in their own bubble. They wake up every day. They're not thinking about how can I use social media. They're thinking, I need more leads. Social media is just a mechanism. It's just a vehicle that you can use to make that happen. But they don't really care how you do it. All they care about is that they get more leads, or they get more appointments, or they make more sales. That's it. So if you try to market social media services, you're really hitting a very surface. Your market size is going to shrink so much because people are not going to connect the dots. So if you want to make progress quickly, you need to wrap your business around the core problems and then communicate that to them, not about the service, their core problems. So you're basically translating it into their language. Once you translate it into their language, you'll find there's a lot more demand. You'll find there's a lot more interesting conversations that you have, and a lot more people coming towards you for help instead of you always chasing people to sign up for your service. The service delivery could honestly be pretty much anything. How you achieve that new business, those leads, it could be anything. It doesn't matter. You could use any tool, but we're not marketing the tool. Your approach to the business owner has to focus on solving the core problem. If you don't, you're going to struggle. So the most common pitfalls that I see in this space are offering a service that the business owners don't automatically connect with their core problems. So they don't connect the dots, right? You don't think, well, social media marketing, that's a service for social media marketing, that'll solve my leads problem. It doesn't work like that. They're not going to think like this. They're in their own bubble. If they're a plumber, they're in the trenches, right? Literally, they're in the trenches. They're fixing stuff. They're not thinking about social media marketing. So you're making it extra difficult for them to connect the dots. You have to connect it for them. You've also the other pitfall is targeting secondary problems the business owner doesn't really care about. So, for example, database reactivation. I've spoken about this quite a lot on my channel. Database reactivation, great service, but it's a secondary thought for them. It might make them more profit, it might make them more sales, but they're always attracted to new leads, not old leads. So yes, it makes logical sense. They can reactivate leads in their database, but you're always going to lose business to the person that approaches them with, I can get you new leads. And I'm going to show you something in the video that's going to put these things together in a real life context, because it's exactly what I did. And finally, trying to sell a service or a tool instead of a transformation. Big problem as well. So I always say, don't sell the tools. People ask me all the time, what pieces of GoHighLevel should I focus on selling? And I always tell them, none of them. That's not the way you want to do this. You don't want to focus on a service. You want to focus on how we package this together to solve the core problem. So here's the solution. The key is to always solve the immediate problem of the business owner. They need more leads or sales. This is essentially your offer. You don't have to look any further. This is your offer. They need more leads and they need more sales. How that is delivered, we can figure out by combining different marketing methods together. So I can say, well, look, the problem that we solve is we can deliver more sales, more appointments, more leads. How do we do this? Well, we can take all the tools on GoHighLevel, right? We can take different marketing services, social media marketing, database reactivation, LinkedIn lead generation, outreach, direct outreach, paid advertising. We can put all these tools together to then solve that particular problem. But I'm not selling the tools, I'm selling the solution to the problem. The tools are simply what we use as a marketing company to solve those particular problems. The secret is always in how we position it. Now, when I first launched the SaaS agency structure in my business, I did things a little differently than most people out there, and the demand was honestly insane. It serves as a really great example, to be honest. I wanted to give you a real world context into how this all comes together, because information is good, but if I can bring it to life by giving you a really strong example, it might just hit home. So I'm going to show you this in reverse order. First, I'm going to show you the fulfillment process we put together so you can see what the bones actually look like. What was it we were actually doing? What were we offering? But then I'm going to show you how we sold it. And I want you to look at the difference, because it booked 152 sales calls in a few weeks. This will show you the difference between the delivery, the fulfillment, and how we positioned it. That's what I want you to pay attention to. What it actually is, what does the machine actually look like? What are the different pieces? Because everybody has access to these pieces. But how did we actually position this? Pay close attention to how we do this. Now, I was targeting the insurance market. It was final expense and life insurance. I'd never been in the market before. Honestly, I didn't even know what final expense insurance was. I had no idea. I didn't know it existed. I was just going for life insurance. And then on sales calls, agents started talking to me about final expense, so I worked it into the pitch. But I just figured I had to Google what it was. Honestly, I had no experience in this space at all. I was looking for a large market that needed lead generation. That was my goal. And insurance agents fit this description because there's about 1 million, I think, agents across the US, and they all need leads because they're all in competition with each other. So the niche was insurance agents in the US. I created the sales page, I planned my delivery, and then I launched. It was that fast. The service delivery I used was GoHighLevel as the CRM. I used follow-up workflows to nurture leads, so long-tail nurture, and also some database reactivation. And I used LinkedIn automation through WeConnect, a software called WeConnect, to drive new prospects to a sales funnel, which was also built on GoHighLevel. So basically, I was selling GoHighLevel workflows plus the CRM and a sales funnel combined with LinkedIn automation. That was it. Everybody can do that, right? Everybody in this industry has probably come across those services before, and a lot of people struggle to sell them, right? That's the service delivery, a pretty standard offer from an agency. My price point was $1,000 to $1,200 per month, $1,000 to $1,200 per month. I didn't use any money back guarantees. I didn't use trial periods. In fact, I had a no refund policy because I didn't really want tire kickers in our client base, essentially, because I've seen that before. So at this price point with a pretty standard service delivery, why do so many agencies out there struggle, yet we had 152 sales calls booked in the calendar? What was the difference? I didn't have any brand in the space. I had no brand. It wasn't from my existing brand. It was completely fresh, brand new Facebook page with no social proof whatsoever, a brand new brand name. I didn't even have a website. All I had was a call booking funnel with a video sales letter. That's it. That's all I built. I was a guy with a Scottish accent selling into the US insurance space that didn't even really know insurance very well. All I knew was lead generation, which is what, that's our bread and butter. That's what we do. So all I knew was lead gen. Now, why did it sell? What was the difference? Was it dark arts? Well, definitely it wasn't dark arts. Here's exactly how I positioned the offer. I labeled it as a top producer system. I used a Lucid chart, which is this chart here. This is a Lucid chart. We built some Lucid charts. And I called it the automated continuum, the top producer system with the automated continuum. It was basically a lead source of fresh new leads. Plus, I added in nurturing some existing leads because agents as a whole often buy lead lists. So they'll buy from vendors, like a big list of leads, and they have a lot of old leads as well. Now, as a side note, as a separate note here, I actually added on the platform a little extension where they could place an order for more leads to fill up their pipeline, right? So they were used to buying bulk leads off of companies. So what I did was I just connected the dots. I provided a function, had a markup on it, and a lot of the agents actually ordered. So what I would do is I would just upload the leads to their CRM system. They would appear, they would then put them into workflows, and it gets to retention because they're using the platform. And if you watch the rest of the videos on my channel, you'll know that retention is basically product usage. If we can get them using the platform, they stick. But anyway, not to digress. Lead source, fresh new leads, plus adding some existing leads with database reactivation, then a nurture flow with a clear path to how they book into the agent's calendar. I didn't really dive into the workflows. I didn't tell them what they were. I didn't tell them how database reactivation works or even what long tail follow-up looks like. It was simple. New leads plus old leads, nurture, booking in the calendar. That's it. Have a look at this diagram. You've got your existing leads on top, so that's their lead lists. You've got your new leads here. We did an example of 500 per leads per month. And some of those leads would book a call in instantly. Some of those leads would not. They go into the new lead nurture system. Some of them would then book in a call. If they did not, they go into the value-based nurture sequence. Some of them booked in a call from here. If they didn't, they then move into the database reactivation system. Some of them booked in a call. And if not, they go into a long tail sequence again to attempt to book in a call. And if not, they just go back into this reactivation sequence. They could also pour their existing leads into this reactivation sequence as well. This essentially allowed them to get to the, look what I'm highlighting, the green here. That's where the eyes are drawn to, right? Which is booking a call, booking a call, booking a call. Why? Because that's what they care about. They don't care about this stuff. I just want to give them some context. I want to give them a bit of a system because it's kind of tangible, right? They don't care, really. All they care is it leads to, this is what they understand. They understand old leads, they understand new leads, they understand nurture, and they understand booking in calls. So instead of all the bells and whistles, I didn't even mention the word LinkedIn, really. I didn't even mention the word CRM, nothing like that. I just kept it really simple. So why did this work? Because everybody was overwhelmed with marketing speak. Everybody. Yeah, I kept it extremely simple. And I directed everything back at a simple phrase. If you think about it, all they want is the phrase, I want lead in calendar, please. That's it. If we solve that really simple phrase, they're happy. So rather than selling tools, I sold this continuum. It gave it direction and it gave it purpose. It made it feel tangible. It was outcome focused and it was straight to the point. New leads is something they want. Old leads is something they have. And it's a nice to have as well to boost the profit margin. But most importantly, not just database reactivation. If you just try to sell that, it's not going to work very well. You have to combine it. It's a bonus. It's a nice to have. My focus is on the new lead flow all the time. New leads are always more enticing. I said at the start of the video, if you're competing against someone and one of you offers database reactivation, making money out of old leads, one of you offers new leads is always going to win because it's more enticing. The only person that's gravitating purely towards database reactivation is if they don't have any money because they don't want to spend any money, right? That's often, I'm not going to blanket generalize everybody with that one, but it often is the case that I've experienced from my experience at least, right? That's generally what happens. And I don't want that person, they're not going to be a subscriber for very long, right? So it doesn't really do me justice. It doesn't get long-term subscribers. Doesn't grow the business. So why would I focus on that? So I focus on the other side, which is always new leads, new exciting leads, and I use database reactivation to boost the profitability. And if the prospect is on the fence, it might just tip them over the other side and get that close. That is the key. So new leads, something they want. Old leads, something they have. New leads are always more enticing. When everybody was trying to sell complicated CRM systems, LinkedIn automation, nurture workflows, reactivation, all I did was go straight to the point. They didn't care how I did it. I was using LinkedIn automation for my lead flow, and I was using workflows and database reactivation just the same as they were. I just put it in a different packaging. Yet I was consistently booking calls from both Google ads and also Facebook ads for $25 per call for a $1,000 recurring offer. And I had a 3-month minimum term on that offer. So it was $1,000 to $1,200. I fluctuated in the price depending on what I felt, but 3-month minimum term. I was booking in calls for $25 per call. If I close 10% of them, I'm making quadruple my money in the first month. And then I've got 2 more months after that locked in. This is how we hit the 10K mark in about a week. This is a secret. It's all in the positioning. So your first steps. The first step here is to identify the problem that you solve, that the business owner cares about. Most importantly, the problem that you solve that the business owner actually cares about. Then directly engineer everything that you do towards that problem. I focused on what the agent cared about, not what the marketers cared about, like myself, not the terms that I cared about, but what the agent cared about. You identify a problem that you solve, which will always be around lead generation. And the reality is, it's really more about getting comfortable with this mindset. The problem you solve is right in front of you, is here, right? Is lead generation. We know the problem that you should solve. So it's not about trying to figure that out. I've already told you what it is. That's the problem that's going to sell. Your job is to basically get comfortable with that. It's basically your problem. The problem you solve is, I want new leads. Your job right now is to get comfortable. When you do, the rest is going to fall into place. You're going to then identify a target market that has that particular problem. And there are so many niches out there that have this problem. It's a very broad market. And it's because it's an in-demand problem, it does still exist. It's still there, still in demand during times of economic volatility. So you're basically taking the risk away. If you're offering a service that dips when it's a nice to have, it's a luxury. When markets get volatile, you'll get a lot of cancellations. But if you're positioned where you move the bottom line, you actually increase that bottom line and profit for them, then you can survive in stomach economic volatility because you're still in demand. So many niches out there, and we can segment these niches down to make niche identification easier. However, the first step is to simply identify clearly on a piece of paper the problem that you solve. Then everything will be built around that problem, which I'll show you over the next few days in my next few videos. So watch this space. Next time, I'm going to dive into the niche selection process and what makes a good niche versus a bad niche. And most importantly, how all these niches are actually connected together and how you can flip, just like I do, flip from one to the other without actually changing that much. That's the magic and scale. We can horizontally scale. We're not changing the business model. We're not starting new businesses. We're not getting shiny object syndrome. We're just doing the same thing over and over and over again into different markets. If you found this video interesting, if you found it valuable, make sure you hit that like button and make sure you subscribe to my channel. We're slowly growing. The comments and feedback have been fantastic recently, so I'm really happy with that, and it encourages me to create more content. So if you found it interesting, let me know. Let me know what you liked about it. Let me know what you'd like to see in the future, and I'll see you on the other side.